University, and she received her master's in counseling from the College of New Jersey. She's a model, a mentor, a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, a member of the Mount Olive Baptist Church Scholarship Ministry, and a professional guidance counselor with the Piscataway School District. Our other speaker today is Pamela Travis. She's a graduate of Plainfield High School, Montclair State College, which is now Montclair State University, and received her master's from Kane University. She's a retired educator, a professional guidance counselor, a retired professional guidance counselor,
Good afternoon. I am Pamela Travis, and thank you so much, Ms. Rogers, for that introduction. And thank you to the Scholarship Committee and Mount Olive Baptist Church for just having the forethought to have this type of program this afternoon. I am so excited to work with Ms. Pernell this afternoon. I've had the pleasure of knowing her most of her life. I've had the pleasure of being a counselor at the high school while she was in high school, and then I had the pleasure of working with her side by side as colleagues, and it's so awesome. I feel like I represent the old school wisdom, but when you work with young people, the new age technology and new ideas of presenting information, it's the best of both worlds. So I'm excited to share this platform with Ms. Pernell this afternoon. And as we go through, we're just going to work together in presenting this information to you. And so we're going to get started, and we're excited. High school is such an important time, and so many things will happen from 14 to 18. These are major years. And young people, we're excited to be here to just provide some information as to how to just alleviate some of the anxiety about high school. When you hit high school, everyone you know is going to say to you, what do you want to become? Where do you want to go to college? And it's just so many questions, and sometimes you just don't know. So we want to present some information to help you look at this. So we look at college or trade school, military, employment, technical college. There's so many opportunities, and we just want to break this down a little bit for you this afternoon and allow you to just see some information. So here, we're going to talk about how to choose a college and what not to lose your mind. And we're going to break this down into grade levels for 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th, because there's different types of information we want to share, different things we want you to look at and embrace at each area. You know, a lot of times we're not sure of everything. One of the things about education that I would always say to my students, what was said to me when I was coming up, I had no idea what I wanted to do, but my mother always said, education provides opportunities, and that's all I knew. So I went to college based upon what she said. So we're going to go right into here and look at this. Freshman year. When you enter high school, it's a whole new world, and everything you do in high school is going to count. It's going to be what? On your resume, it's going to be on your transcript. Everything you do counts, so we want you to get off to a great start. First people, counselors, make sure that you have a relationship with your counselor and meet your counselor. When we ask for you to come to our group meetings, we need to know who you are, so come and meet us, and we will help you with your action plan. Testing. We know testing is always a part of everything. PSATs and SATs are going to come up throughout your high school career. So we start with the PSAT. And when most schools now offer this in the spring time for you, take advantage of every time that you get to take the PSAT. Many schools now pay for it, so it's just an opportunity to show up, and it's practice. Practice, practice for the opportunity to just get better at taking tests. The next thing we have on here is your classes. Make sure you are challenging yourself. We want to, and the counselors are going to, when you come to us, we're going to say, have you tried an honors class? Are you in an honors class? Have you thought about an honors class? We want you to take the most rigorous classes that you can. We want you to prepare for this transcript that we're going to get to, and what everything will look like when you get there. So we're going to ask you to prepare for your classes. And along with that, if there's something that you're interested in, you know that you're interested in math or science or English, we want you to make sure you're looking at those classes and just embracing those honors level AP classes. Then we want to talk about our extracurricular activities. Throughout high school, it's so important to be involved in things. And these can be things, you know, we think a lot about sports, but there's a lot of activities. There is dance, there is theater, there's arts, there's robotics, there's student government, FBLA. If you like math or science or English, there's all kinds of leagues, math leagues, science leagues, and even outside of your school. Do not forget about your church activities. If you're involved in Girl Scouts, all of these types of activities are very important. It's very important to begin early on, and do you know why? Because colleges want to see that progression in your activities. They don't want to see senior year that you signed up to be in 5 clubs. They want to see that you signed up for a club and you really put yourself into it, and you might have become the secretary or the treasurer, but that you embrace the club and you learn from it and you develop into a leader within that club. So they want to see, what's the word? Consistency with your clubs and your activities. So that's very, very important for those activities. And then, even as a freshman, we want you to begin to think about colleges. We want you to begin to think about careers, things that you like to do. We have lots of programs that we can use with you now to help you, interest inventories and career searches, just to help you get to know yourself a little bit better. What are the things that you really like? What are your areas of interest, expertise, your strengths, your weaknesses? So we want throughout this time for you to get to know yourself better, okay? And if I miss anything, Ms. Pernell, please chime in. No problem. And then we're going to move on to your sophomore year. Oh, and I did forget to say, and I'm so sorry, I didn't even acknowledge that last year, when it comes to the activities, last year most schools were virtual throughout the year, and that really hurt the opportunity to be active in your clubs and different things like that. So now that school is back, we want you to make sure you are looking into the activities and things that you can be involved in at school. So now we're at your sophomore year. And so sophomore year here, you've got 1 year of high school under your belt. And again, the PSAT or testing, it's going to come up again. We want to review and we want to acknowledge and invest in the opportunity to take the PSAT test. Even more, sophomore year, we want to make sure we're taking the appropriate classes. Now, at the end of your freshman year, most of you will sit down with your counselor, talk about how your freshman year went, and choose the classes that you want to do your sophomore. Again, making sure that you're getting all your required classes and classes that you might be interested in. And then we want you to, again, seek extra activity that you can be interested in. So if you join something freshman year and you really enjoy it, stay with it and embrace it. And then we want you to think about community service as well. Sometimes if you're in certain things in your schools, student government, FBLA, some of these organizations will also do community service. You can do community service with your family, you can do community service with your church. If you're in Girl Scouts, wherever you see that opportunity, you want to also get some community service hours in. That's very, very helpful. Now, sophomore year, we get a little bit more serious about college, and we want to begin to make a list. We want to really think about what are the colleges that you know? What are the colleges you're thinking about? Are there colleges that family members have gone to that you're interested in? Some of my sports students would always know colleges from sports teams that they would love. But whatever your reasons, we want you to begin to make that list, because this is where we begin to look at what the college requirements will be. We have to start with a list. Now, again, you'll meet with your counselor at the end of this year to choose classes, challenging classes that you are interested in. And you know that word challenging, I don't want you to be afraid of it, but if you're really interested in something, you're going to have to stretch out and embrace those classes. If I want to go to school for nursing, I'm going to need to advance myself in a science class. I may want to get into not only that honors biology, but I may want to get into an AP biology class. I have to think about what things am I thinking about and how do those classes relate to my goals. And again, sophomore year, we want you to finish strong. We want you to do the best that you can with your classes and your grades. You know, a lot of times when we talk about all the things that go into the college process, I want you to think about these grades as being the number one factor that the colleges are going to look at when they're looking at your transcript. That's going to stand out the strongest. So they want to see that you are doing well. And don't be afraid. If I didn't have a good freshman year, don't be afraid of that. Just come back sophomore year and give it your best. Bring your grades up. That looks very good to a college that you put in the effort to bring your grades up. So we want you to do that. And then again, begin to think about those summers. What can I do with my summer? What can I do with my summer to make it productive? Maybe I'll be a junior counselor in the camp, even though I'm not getting paid for it. It's good experience. You might have to start off with something you don't get paid for. Maybe I'll take a class that is geared to summer students. I want to study science, so I'm going to take this science class. Begin to look at what are the opportunities that are out there that are going to help build you and make you stronger. Okay? And then junior year, when we get to that junior year, we become a little bit more anxious.
We know that we're coming around. We know that this is the time that we're past the PSATs, the practice SATs. Now we're down to the real SATs, SAT 1s, SAT 2s, ACT tests. SAT 1s are for everyone. SAT 2s are tests that are in subject areas like science, math, English. These are for students that know they want to major in a certain area, or if they're going to a very competitive school, an Ivy League school. Some of these schools will require SAT 2s. So now, junior year, we've got to get on the ball with what are the testing that we need to do. When we're looking at our college choices, this is the year. We want to make sure we begin to research those colleges and narrow those colleges down. So I may have 10 schools on my list when I start out, but I want to look at all the criteria that we're going to go over later and really narrow down what are the schools that I can really relate to. What schools have everything that I need, and I have something to bring to the schools that's going to help me get accepted into these schools. So we're going to start to narrow down those choices, and this is real research. It's hard research, looking up all the criteria for the college. And then we're going to look at, and when we look at that, we're looking at what does that realistic list look like. We never, ever want to deter a student from a reach school, because when we look at the schools with you, we're going to put them into 3 categories: a reach school, a target school, and a safety school. And a reach school is a dream school. It's a school that I really have a lot of interest in, but maybe when I look at the criteria for that reach school, maybe my grades fall a little short for that reach school, but that's okay. It's a reach school, and I'm going to apply. I'm going to do the best I can with my essay and everything else, and I'm going to get it in. But then I'm going to also have target schools. Target schools are just that. I am right on target for this school. I meet the GPA. My SAT scores are looking sharp, and I'm right on target to get accepted into this school. And then I have safety schools. And safety school is just that. That's a school where I have a little bit more than what they're requiring. My GPA is just a little bit higher. My SATs are a little bit higher. And we want to make sure everybody has all of those things included, because we want to make sure your list has all the options on it. And so that's a big part of your college list, and it's very important. And I'm just going to throw this in here. You want to work with your counselors. You want to work with your parents. If you have older brothers and sisters who have gone through this process, use all your resources to narrow down your college list. And now, once we've got this list and we know what we're doing, now comes the hard part. We're going to begin to research for financial aid. And see, this is under junior year. We want you to begin that process junior year. Please do not wait to the end of your senior year. We have so many students that miss opportunities because they wait too late to begin to start looking for their scholarships and grants. So we want to do that to make sure you're on target. We want to ensure you're taking the appropriate classes. Again, you're meeting with your counselor and you want to talk about your classes. We want to make sure you're taking the classes that are connected to your career path. And again, your extracurricular activities. This is the year. I've been in student government for a couple of years now, so I'm going to step out, and now I'm going to run for president of student government or secretary, treasurer, but I'm going to remain active, and I'm also going to take on a responsibility in this activity. So we want to see where my goals are with my extracurricular activities, but remain active throughout these years. Now, junior year, there's a few things that will come up that are a little bit different. And one of those things is college fairs and tours. Sometimes we will have the opportunity to take a tour. Sometimes a college or a sorority, a church may do a tour to a specific school. So if you have the opportunity to go on a college tour, that's a great opportunity to get onto a campus. And I also want to put in here, not only your college tours, but your open houses. All of your schools will have open houses in the fall and in the spring. It's a lot to look at a campus. It's good to look at your campus. It's good to look at their virtual tours. But it's another thing to actually get onto the campus, feel the campus, see what the campus looks like, and see if this is really a campus you can see yourself in. So college fairs are where you go and you talk to representatives, but the tours and open houses are where you go to actually get onto the campus and see what this campus looks like. And that is a great opportunity. Now, for all the athletes out there, there is something called the NCAA Clearinghouse. The NCAA Clearinghouse is where you have to send your transcript. There are certain rules for athletes, and the NCAA Clearinghouse governs those rules. They have to make sure that your grades and your SATs meet certain standards. So it's very important to register, and so that you know where you stand. And again, junior year, you want to do this. You don't want to wait till senior year, and then there's some issues that you have with your grades or school that you thought you might want to go to. And then we're looking at your senior year schedule. Now, by senior year, some of you will have met some of your requirements for graduation. I've always had students come, well, Ms. Travis, I already met my requirements. I only really need English and gym, and maybe I could take a math class because I met my history and my science requirement already. And I would have to say, but do you want a college to look at a transcript that you don't have academic courses on? I don't know if that looks like you're very serious about going to college. So make sure that you are still having a strong academic schedule senior year. Fill up those spots with something that you might really be interested in that you might not have had the opportunity to take, to do before. You might have African American history. That's a class that was out there, but it doesn't fit into any requirement. So look at some of the classes that you're just interested in, and they're still academic classes. And then start seeking letters of recommendation. Some of your college deadlines will come up very quickly. Ms. Pernell can tell you, and she will tell you. She's frantically doing applications as we speak. Students are coming at the last minute for applications. Start seeking teacher and counselor recommendations junior year, spring of your junior year, so that you know who's going to write recommendations for you, and you can get them the brag sheets so that they can get started on it at their leisure. Just think about it. When I was writing letters of recommendation, those students that gave me those brag sheets that I had time to read and write letters of recommendations, those were good recommendations. If you bring me a brag sheet and say I need it tomorrow, I'll do the best I can, but it's not giving me enough time to really do the best that I could on a letter of recommendation. The other thing with recommendations, we always have teachers that leave during the summer. Students will come back. Well, Ms. Thompson was going to write a letter of recommendation and she's not here. And then you've lost the letter of recommendation. We don't have Ms. Thompson's information. So if you don't let the teacher know, at the end of your junior year, you could lose an opportunity to get a great recommendation from somebody. So make sure that you are doing that, getting your recommendations. Did you want to add something?
Yeah, you're doing it. A wealth of knowledge right here.
Oh. Now, your transcript. Someone just asked a question and it says, what is a brag sheet? That is a great question. A brag sheet gives your teachers and your counselors more information about you. And you can usually get them from your counselors. And they will ask things like schools that you might be interested in, majors you might be interested in, What are the activities you've been involved in? Another thing that's really important, students, sometimes the grad sheets help us know things that we don't know about a family. There may have been a loss a particular year and something happened with your grades. You never told the counselor or anyone else, but you went through a time where your grades went down just a little bit. It's time to let us know if there's anything we need to know to help write the best recommendation that we can. So those are some of the questions that you will see on the grad sheet. And then you give that to your counselor and we are able to talk about it and write a recommendation for you to help you get into the colleges of your dreams, because that's what we want. We want to give you the best opportunities that we can. And so here we just have what? A sample of a transcript. Everyone out there should be able, all my high school students should know what their transcripts looks like. You should know what your GPAs are. You should know how many credits you've earned each year. This is the document that we send to colleges, and this is what it looks like. Every year, 9th, 10th, 11th, it will give you the average of your grades, and then it will also give you an average GPA. This particular transcript we put out for you to see. You can see that the freshman year, the student started out a little bit weak, but what happened? That student came back sophomore year and did what? Worked very hard and brought the grades up. And that's something that a college is going to be able to see. They worked very hard. That's something as a counselor we would be able to put into your recommendation, how hard you worked to get your grades up. And then if you look down at the 11th grade year, what happened? The grades went up even more. Just as an example of what you can do. And so that's the story that this transcript tells. This student started off a little shaky, but worked very hard to bring the grades up. Okay? And this screen here, we just want to what? We just want to share. You'll see all of these mascots for all of the many different colleges that are out there. And we want to just share that in this experience, it's just about finding the right fit for you. There's so many colleges and so many ways to get an education. We just want to expose you to as much as we can so that you can figure out here what is the right fit for you. There's a question. Okay, sorry, there's a question, but we can't see it. So we're going to move on and we'll get back to it. Not to, okay. All right, so then we want to just talk about some of the factors in looking at, now that you're a junior, you've got your college list. We want to just look at what are the factors here that you're going to consider. And again, this is I can't stress enough how this college decision is also a family decision. You want to make sure you are embracing your family, but what you're thinking about and how you're coming up with these decisions. Because there's a lot that's going to affect the overall family with the college decision. And we look at things like the size of the school. Many campuses are large and then some are very small. And what does that mean? If you have a large campus like a Rutgers University, we're right here in Central Jersey, Rutgers is like a community. It means that you need to be able to navigate your way through a large college, a large community. And you need to know this about yourself. A smaller school like a Kane University, it's still a very large university. But Kane University, you're on a campus. You literally drive on a campus, and it's much more condensed. In some of the smaller schools, you have more teacher to student ratios so that you can get to know your teachers a little bit better, and you need to know for yourself, what do I need in college? What's been my experience in high school? Do I enjoy classes where I really get to know my teachers better? That's the kind of thing you really want to know. Your location. Do I want to be close to home? Am I going to stay in New Jersey? Do I want to go far away? What's the cost if I go too far away? How is that going to affect me coming home, visitation, transportation, all of those things? If I go to Florida, am I going to be able to stay in Florida until, Christmas break? Will I be able to come home? Do I have family in that location? Lots of factors to consider. And then you want to look at what is the type of campus. Is this like a campus where people stay on campus and there's lots of activities? Is this like a commuter campus where a lot of people seem to go home? Okay. So you want to know these types of things and what is the campus personality. And that's why it's so important for you to do what? Get to the campus so you can see what that personality looks like. And right under personality is diversity. Diversity really has to do with what? How you feel about where you're going to be. I was in Piscataway High School. Piscataway is a very diverse community. And I would always tell students to please look at the diversity of your campus, because you're kind of used to seeing the diversity of Piscataway, and every place doesn't have that type of diversity. And sometimes when we are in a specific situation, we just take for granted every place is going to look like that. And so you want to know what's the diversity of this campus. If I'm looking to be athletics or activities, what does that look like? Do they have the athletic teams? Do they have activities? Do they have sororities and fraternities? What types of things are on campus that I want? And then, of course, what are the requirements? And the requirements are going to be, what are the SAT scores? What is my GPA that I'm going to need? Are they looking for essays? Are they looking for interviews? What are the things that the school is going to require from me to give to them so that I can be accepted into that university? Along with that is the competitiveness. And that just means exactly again what it says. What is the GPA and SATs for this school? How high a GPA do I need? What are the SATs looking like? How competitive is this university? Are there a lot of students applying to this university? We go back to Rutgers. Rutgers is an extremely large university, and I'm not even sure anymore what the numbers look like, but there's thousands and thousands of students that apply for the spots that they have available. So what does that look like for the schools that I'm interested in? Programs and departments. What kind of program? If I'm looking for a nursing program, does this school have nursing? I have to do that research to find out what programs does this particular school have. Schools don't have every single major. And so that's why when I look at a specific school, I'm going to also have to look up what programs, departments, and majors that they even offer before I even know if that's a school that's a fit for me. So all of these things go into the fit. Internship opportunities. Now that, depending upon what my major is going to be, if I'm going into communications, let's say, is this school near a city? I say Montclair State, near New York, then I might have internship opportunities. So I want to consider what does that look like and ask those questions of the representatives when you get to meet with them. And then the public versus the private. Again, that's going to come up again because public schools are less expensive than private schools. So it's very important to look at these costs, net costs of the schools. There's nothing more important here than the cost of your college. That has to be a big factor when you're looking at your decisions. I would always recommend to students that they have at least one good state school in their list. The state schools are going to be the least expensive school other than your community college. And so many times we get so caught up in going out of state, we don't want to look at what our public schools in our state have to offer. But we want to make sure we're looking at what those costs mean. And when you're thinking about that, you want to think about your major. Is my major going to cost me to continue on in education? Will I have to go for a master's degree? Am I thinking about social work and I'm going to need a master's degree in social work? How can I get my bachelor's degree as inexpensively as I possibly can? So I want to consider these things when I'm looking at my colleges. And that's why this is so important to have this discussion with your families. We don't know, you are doing most of your applications in the fall. You will do applications without knowing if you're going to qualify for any financial aid. So when you're doing this, you want to think about this. Maybe I'll qualify for some financial aid, but what if I do not? Can I still afford to go to this school? Is this still going to be an option? So you want to think about all of those things as you're looking into making this decision for your college. This one.
All right. So now we're going to get into different types of colleges there are. There are quite a few different post-high school options you have. So of course you have your four-year colleges, which are liberal arts, Ivy Leagues, public and private, that Ms. Travis did just speak about, technical institutes, as well as military colleges. So even if you are interested in going to military, going straight to the military, there are also military colleges, such as like West Point. Then you have your two-year community colleges. And those are great options to, if you're looking to not spend as much money. But they have great transfer options to other colleges, whether they're in-state, out-of-state, public, or private. There's also tech and trade schools where you would get certifications. There's also specialized institutions such as conservatives, art schools, culinary, health and science schools. So there's really an option for anything that you want to do past high school, whether it's to go into a trade, go to a two-year, four-year school, or a specialty. Whatever you want to do, you will always have to seek some type of formal training. However, the option is there for you. And then different types of school is PWI versus HBCU. I'm going to break that down as to what that is. So PWI is a predominantly white institution, which is exactly what it sounds. Those are the schools that were founded and created for predominantly white people, and in the sense of people of color were not allowed to attend those universities. At that time, historically black colleges and universities were created and founded so that people of color could have somewhere to continue their education. So those are those two acronyms, if you do hear them, PWI and HBCUs. The difference are the funding and the demographics, as well as the environment. At a historically black college or university, your peers are mostly going to be people of color, but doesn't mean that they're all going to be people of color. There may be a sprinkle. I know I went to Virginia State University, which is the HBCU, and we did have non-POC there. So it could be, a variety. However, obviously at HBCU, you're going to see a little bit more people of color, but that goes back to what Ms. Travis was saying. When you're looking at a school, looking for the diversity, looking for the right fit as to where you want to be, what kind of environment you want to be in, where do you think you will thrive? All right. So college search resources. So there's a lot you have to look in when you're trying to find the right fit for you. But we want to make sure you have the tools in order to search for those colleges. And you want to make sure that you utilize the individual college's website. Anytime you want to get exact information, you really need to look at the college's individual website. Okay, they're going to have the most accurate, up-to-date information. I always also recommend to students to call the college's admissions office when you have questions, because those are the people that can give you the direct answers for their exact college. Also, attend online virtual tours. It's a great way to see the college without having to physically go there if you're not ready for it. And if you are ready, go ahead and go to the college visit. Schedule it, go in person or do a group as Ms. Travis did state. Also with your college, with your high schools. Some schools are allowing colleges to come in to meet with them in group settings and one-on-one to gain more information about colleges. So make sure you speak to your counselor and seek out those resources as well. You also have college fairs, which are all around the state as well as out of state. And collegeboard.org, they have something called Big Future College Search. It is such a great tool. With Big Future, you're able to go ahead and input what are the important things to you when picking out a college. Obviously, it will be your major, the school size. You want an urban, suburban. There are a lot of different, factors you can include in what you're looking for. And then it outputs different colleges that meet your requirements based on what you enter. And if you have Naviance, that's a great tool. A lot of schools have Naviance. It is a college and career readiness tool. And some schools have SCORE as well. So definitely speak to your counselor to find out what system you have at your school and utilize those resources to do your college search. All right, so here's a big one, ACT versus SAT. Now, I know recently with COVID, a lot of students weren't able to take the SAT or ACT within the past 2 years. Now that we are getting back to some sense of normalcy, the SAT and ACT tests have started again. So if you're able to take them and you would like to take them, you can. However, a lot of colleges have become test optional. And what that means is that you have an option of sitting in your test scores if you want to or if you do not want to. As I explained to students, you really need to make the decision if you want to send in your test scores. You need to do your research because you may qualify for a scholarship or you may qualify for actual admission depending on your test scores combined with your GPA along with other factors. So that's something you need to research, but you do have the option. You can go to fairtest.org in order to get a list of all test optional schools, but make sure you do check your school's requirements when applying. But let's get back to the difference. So the ACT and the SAT are two separate tests. They are both used for college admissions. However, they test different things. So they have different testing scales as well as the ACT. The biggest difference is the ACT has a science component, whereas the SAT doesn't. The SAT gives you a little bit more time on your questions, whereas the ACT doesn't. So those are like the biggest factors of the difference. I always recommend that students take both tests. You may do better on one than the other, which may be the difference of you getting into a school and or getting a scholarship. Example, I took both in high school because I wanted to make sure I got into the college I want and I wanted some money for college. And I did better on the SAT, so I retook the SAT. So there are different strategies to use, but I definitely recommend that you look into both tests and find out which one is the better option for you. Okay, and as you can see here, here's a side-by-side of what the differences are. The SAT is offered a little bit more than the ACT, 6 times a year versus 7 times a year. There are 3 sections on the ACT versus 4 sections on the SAT. You have 3 hours for the SAT and 2 hours and 55 minutes. I know the 5 minutes doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're taking that test, it is a lifetime. So think of that. Also, you can see the different components of the actual content. So there's reading, there's writing, and there's an essay for the SAT. For the ACT, there's English, reading, math, and science. I'm sorry, there's a math and SAT as well. So there's different portions, and of course the writing is optional. So you have to figure out which one is best for you. Okay, and the scoring is definitely different. The highest score you can get is 36, a composite score in ACT, and the highest you can get in SAT is 1600. So it's a little bit different. However, doesn't matter which test you take, you can always prepare. So there are different tools you can use to prepare. There are books you can buy from, say, Barnes & Noble, Amazon, or wherever you get your books from. There's Kaplan, Princeton Review. There are a couple other different entities you can gain access to. There are also some free test prep, okay? I would suggest you start with free test prep because who doesn't like free, right? Exactly. So collegeboard.org does have 3 full-length free tests available for you to print and kind of use. They also, if you sign up for the question of the day, they'll email you a question of the day. There's also, I just drew a blank. What's the website, Ms. Travis? No, the website for tutoring. No, I just drew a blank. I was on a roll. I'm sorry, everyone. Okay, I'll come back to the, it is not Kaplan. It is a free online tutoring service along with test prep as well. But once it pops back in my head, I will tell you about that. But I'm sorry? No, it's something else. When it comes back, I'll tell you. But there, you can also do a Google search for test prep, and there's some other options as well. All right, so prepare and apply. What do colleges actually look for, right? So when you're submitting your application, what are they picking out to determine if you were the right fit? And I want to say this, make this very clear, because as Ms. Travis said, you know, we live near Rutgers, which is a very big university. And so being in Piscataway, a lot of students have a thought of, oh, I'll just go to Rutgers. And I explained Rutgers is not a school you just go to. Rutgers is actually very competitive. So any college you apply to, it may be your dream school, it may be your number one school, it may even be your safety school. And that's fine. But the mentality of I'll just go there, that's great. Have confidence in yourself, but also think of it like this. Are you the student that they want at their school? So what about you when you apply makes them say, hey, I need that kid. So let's look at the things that they consider. They'll look at your transcript. As Ms. Travis went over, they're going to look at what classes you took, what grades you received, the rigor of your courses, as well as does any of those classes have any comparison or in line with anything you want to do according to what you've stated on your application, okay? We do send a school report or profile rather with your transcript so that your colleges are able to see what are all the option of classes that you could have taken as a student. And they're gonna see, did you exhaust all of your options in taking the courses that you're interested in? So please keep that in mind as you are building your transcript and picking out your classes from year to year. Of course, GPA, they're gonna look at your GPA and see how you perform. Although your GPA is not the only thing they're going to base a decision on, it is a major factor, okay? Your scores, your SAT or ACT scores, if it's a test optional school or if it's required, they're going to consider those. They're going to see how you performed on those test taking abilities. Your teacher and counselor recommendations. What do people have to say about you? Are you a leader? Are you independent? Are you passionate? Are you compassionate? What have you done during your time there? Have you helped out? All these different things. What, extenuating circumstances did you experience? Were you displaced? Was there, a loss in the family? A lot of different things they want to know about you as an individual person, okay? And that goes back to the brag sheet that Ms. Travis was speaking about. You want to make sure you put the information in there that you would like the college to know so that your counselor and or teacher can display that information for them, okay? Your extracurricular activities as well as work experience and awards. So if you received any honors in high school or any awards, you want to make sure you note that on your application. If you've worked, you want to note that. If you had an internship, if you've been involved in different clubs and activities, those count. And it's not necessarily quantity, it's quality, right? So you can have 15 different, clubs on your transcript, but does any of them, substantial? Are any of them going towards what you want to study in college or anything that you're passionate about? I had a student who was very passionate about tennis, and she took tennis lessons outside of school. She did tennis things outside of school. It was one of her passions, although she wanted to study science. That showed dedication that student stuck with something, okay? So remember, quality over quantity. Do things that you actually enjoy. And then if you're fortunate, you may get an interview. And that's a chance for you to really get in front of an admissions rep and have that opportunity to speak one-on-one, and they can get a better picture of you. So if you're granted the ability to have an interview, please make sure you dress appropriately. That is number one. Dress business, professional. And if you do not know what that is, reach out to your adult at home or counselor or teacher and ask them what is appropriate for an interview. Because, first impressions are everything. You want to make sure that you are putting your best foot forward. And also, they want to know, did you even visit the campus? Did you reach out to us? Did you speak to anyone? How interested are you? So those are things to consider when you're thinking about what colleges are actually looking for when they're looking at your application. Now, your senior action plan. I have seniors this year, and let me tell you, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, is what I tell my seniors. So you want to prepare, like Ms. Travis went over, freshman, sophomore, and junior. You want to prepare those years so that when you get to senior year, it's not as crazy. You're walking in prepared, you're ready, and you are tackling everything head on. So obviously you want to make sure that you've taken your entrance exams by then. If you are taking any SATs, ACTs, SAT subject tests, you've taken them, and or if you feel like you need to retake them, you were taking them early in the fall. And the earliest test date starts in August. So there's a test in August, October, and November, as well as December. So you want to make sure that if you want to retake a test because you want to get a higher score, you're registering for them and you're taking them right away. Okay. Also, you need to finalize your school choice. Okay. You need to also finalize, what are you doing? Are you going to college? Are you going straight to work? Are you doing military? Are you doing trade school? Whatever you are deciding to do, you need to have a decision of what you're doing so that you're taking the proper steps of achieving that goal of attending those entities. All right. You want to make sure you review your transcript with your counselor to make sure that you've met every graduation requirement and that you're not leaving anything amiss. Okay. You also want to identify the colleges you want to apply for and make sure that you have the requirements to even apply. And you also want to make sure that you have a diverse list of colleges. That includes reach schools, target schools, and safety schools. And that's because you want to have options when you get your responses back from the colleges, okay? You want to make sure that if you need to send in your scores because you decided you are or it's required to your school, that you send your scores directly from collegeboard.org or actstudent.org, okay? Your counselor nor teacher, we do not have access to your scores. It is your responsibility to send them should you want to. So make sure you put that down as a to-do on your checklist. Letters of recommendations have been completed. Like Ms. Travis said, you've asked junior year, you've secured them between junior year and beginning of senior year. They're completed and they're ready to go. You have hopefully crafted your college essay by now and have had an adult or English teacher look over it to make sure that it is grammatically correct, because you do not want to submit an essay that is grammatically incorrect or has another college in its name, okay? So make sure you have someone look over it. Continue to remain active in your extracurricular activities and make sure that you continue to go to college fairs and visits. Those are the important things of senior year that you really need to make sure you continue to do. So we're going to take a look at what Supermatch College Search and Naviance looks like. So you have Naviance. You can explore this. Big Future is very similar to this as well. So as you can see on the screen, there are two different screenshots. On the left side, you can see where, as I said before, how you can break down what's important. So you see a screenshot, have New Jersey listed. And then from there, it'll ask, you'll continue to ask what other regional areas are of interest to you, what other campus surroundings that you're interested in. And you get to go through each individual. There's maybe 15 different options of different categories. That's very important. Location, size, diversity, organization, sports, all the different options for you to go through and fine tune. Once you go through them and pick what you want, it will output the screenshot on the right where it shows 100% match what you need. As you go down the list, it'll go, obviously the percentages will change, but outputs the school that meets those requirements. So it's very much helpful I do recommend that you guys use this either through Naviance if you have it. If not, Big Future is also a great resource as it does the exact same thing. Now, college admissions lingo. That's important to know what you're doing, okay? Regular decision. Let me back up. College admissions lingo. The most important thing you need to know is deadlines. That is the most important. You do not want to miss a deadline. A college does not care if you miss a deadline. They're not going to accept your application because whichever. So with that being said, what my recommendation is to my students is don't wait until the deadline to submit your applications, because something may go wrong and say now you missed your opportunity. We don't want that for you. We want you guys to succeed. So deadlines. Regular decision. That is no attachment. You apply to a school at their regular deadline and they let you know within their time frame if you've been accepted or not, or waitlisted. Early action is non-binding. So exactly what it says, early action. You are applying to a college early just so that you can know early if you've been accepted or not, which can help with either making a decision if you want to apply to more schools or if you want to apply to any schools at all after that point. It's non-binding. There's nothing holding you to your acceptance into that school. Early decision is contractually binding, okay? Early decision means that if you are accepted into a college, you are contractually saying, I am going to attend this school no matter what financial aid no matter what financial aid package I do or do not receive, I am attending this school. You can only apply to one school early decision, okay? And you actually have to sign off on it along with your counselor, agreeing that you both understand that this is early decision, it is a contract, okay? Only do this for your number one top school that you know you want to go to, that you know you are going to, that you've spoken to your parents with, and they are in agreement that if you are accepted to the school, you are absolutely attending this school, okay? Restrictive early action or single choice early action are really for the more competitive schools, such as the Ivy League schools. What that is, it's not early decision, meaning it's binding, but what it states is that you can only apply to us as an Ivy school. You can only apply to us early action. You can't apply to any other Ivies early. We are the only school you can apply early to. You have to do regular decision for the rest of them. So although it's not contractually binding, although you don't have to attend that school, you also just may want to think about if you want to apply to those caliber schools, if that is the only school you want to apply early and wait for the others, okay? Rolling admission means that there's no hardcore deadline. They accept applications on a year-round basis for semester to semester. And waitlist is if you apply to a college and you were waitlisted, that doesn't mean that you were denied. It doesn't mean that you were accepted. It means that they may need more information about your academics or about you to make a final decision. So they may ask for your marking period grades, your semester grades. They may ask for addendum where you can explain why, say, you did poorly in biology that one year, or, we saw a dip in your attendance. They want to know more about you because their goal is colleges want to make sure that the students they accept to their campus are going to be successful, are going to matriculate, and are going to graduate. So they may want to know a little bit more if they see something on your records that gives them a little question, okay? So, ready to apply. Just as that, you're ready. All right. You're going to identify any colleges you want to apply, and you're going to do just that. You're going to gather everything you need that we spoke about, your transcript, your activities, your awards, your tests, and your parent information, or your adults information rather, and you're going to do your application. The most important part of the process is what? Your application to make sure you meet your deadlines. All right. Now, if you're applying using the Common App, which if you don't know what that is the Common Application where there are multiple colleges that use one application. So instead of doing an application for each individual school. There's one place to house your application, but you need to make sure your college actually is a part of the Common App, okay? So you want to add your college as a Common App if you are deciding to use Common App. If not, you want to use the college's direct website in order to apply. And you want to make sure that you review your school-specific requirements, making sure that you have any supplemental items, such as an additional essay question or SAT scores or what have you. As I stated before about the Common App, you can make an account at www.commonapp.org. Again, not every college accepts the Common App. However, a large amount of them do, okay? And again, if they don't, you just go to the college's website. So for example, Rutgers is a non-Common App school. You would go to Rutgers admissions page and apply directly through Rutgers. Whereas you have, say, Montclair, that is a Common App school that you would use through your Common App account. So what to consider when you're thinking about colleges and trade schools, right? Important that we've said before, and we'll say it again, is public versus private, larger versus smaller. What are you looking for? Where will you thrive? Okay. Is it online or is it traditional in person? Now, I know that's a little bit different because we are in the age of COVID. You know, a lot of classes did go virtual, but for some students during that virtual period, they learned virtual is not for me. I need in-person learning. So decide which is best for you. Do you want to live at home? Do you want to commute? Do you want to stay on campus? Those are also important things. Those are also very important items. If you're thinking of independence, you may not want to be home. But if you're thinking financials and you want to save some money, you may think you may want to stay home or commute, get your own place and live off campus or stay on campus. It's up to you. Transportation is a big one. How are you getting to school? Do you drive? Is there public transportation? How are you getting there? I know at Virginia State, when I didn't have a car my freshman year, I wasn't leaving campus because there was no public transportation for me to use. So if I lived off campus at that time, I wouldn't have had a way to get to school. So those are things you want to consider, not just within your freshman year, but you want to kind of plan it out, think it out of how is this going to work over the next 4 to 5 years, okay? The course of study, books, labs, materials, what's needed in order for me to be at this school and to be successful? Because books are expensive, whether they're used or borrowed, and you will learn about that once you get to college. But think about it, okay? And then also involvement. What activities do they have at the college or the trade school that you may be interested in? Do they have sports? Do they have clubs? You know, what do they have that you want to be involved in? So those are things to consider when you're thinking about going to a college or a trade school. And of course, we have those of you who want to join the military. That is also a great option. And in the military, you can still go to school. So you get 2 for 1 if you decide the military. But you have to decide what is the right decision for yourself. Is it for you? And the biggest thing I think about the military is, do you meet the physical requirements? Right? That is, you okay? I'm sorry. I was on the wrong slide, guys. Yep, this is the right one. You're kind of out of order. Don't worry about it. So the most important thing is physical requirement, okay? You got to make sure that you pass the physical exam. So if you feel like you're not your physical best and you have hopes of joining the military, I advise you to speak to a recruiting officer and make a plan of how you can reach the goal of getting to the point to be able to pass the physical exam, okay? Also, you have to take the ASVAB, which is it tests for different values, okay, mental qualifications, as well as traditional items such as does have a math and reading section similar to the SAT and ACT, but it helps determine what's your job placement in the military. So where you will be working once assigned and stationed after coming out of boot camp. You do have to go through a legal background check. All right, that's just it. You have to. So think about that. Hopefully, you've maintained a great citizen and don't have to worry about that. And you have to be a U.S. citizen and you have to have your high school diploma. And that's the most important thing I think of this whole entire presentation is no matter what you decide to do, you need to have a diploma, okay? That is going to help you get to your next stage of life, whether it be college, trade, military, or straight to work, okay? And the different, sorry guys, my slides are out, my fault, it was out of the way. But knowing the different branches of the military is also important, right? So you have your United States Military Academy, which is in West Point, that's the school that I mentioned before. You have the Navy, you have the Naval Academy, you have the Air Force Academy, you have the Coast Guard Academy, and you have the Merchant Marine Academy. So there are different schools that you can go to specifically within the different branches of the military. So think about that. If that is something you want to do, that's also an option. It's important to keep your options open. All right. So now we can talk about the cost of college. So I know you heard Ms. Travis and I talk about public and private schools, right? How is the difference? So one of the things that's different is its funding and its cost, okay? Private schools tend to be more expensive than public schools. Okay, that's just how it is. Their line of funding, what's required to maintain their accreditations and everything, it's going to be a little bit more. However, your public schools break down in two different options. You have public out of state and public in state. So although they're going to be cheaper than private schools, your public out of state is going to be more than your public in state because there's additional grants and financial aid that you're going to qualify as an in-state student versus an out-of-state student. However, again, it will be a lot cheaper than going to a private school. But that also depends on what other financial aid do you receive, what scholarships do you obtain to attend these schools. So again, when you're going through your list and hopefully you're speaking with your adult at home, you're talking about the financial aspect of your education and making the best choice for yourself. So some different higher education moves to tackle to lessen the cost of college is you might want to take some AP classes to reduce time in college. Now, if you have your list of schools, you want to contact the admissions office and first ask them, do you accept AP exam scores to replace college credits? Some colleges will take AP Lang or AP Lit if you get a 4 or 5 on exam, and they apply that to your actual credit towards your actual degree. So you want to inquire about that before you decide to take the AP classes, as well as to help decide how to lessen the cost of college. All right. Live at home and commute. That may be another option, if it's feasible for you in order to lessen the cost, because now instead of paying tuition and fees along with room and board, where you cut out room and board, and you get tuition and fees. For example, I went to school out of state. My out-of-state public school was more expensive than being here in Jersey. I became an RA, a residential assistant. That took away my room and board. So then I only had to pay tuition and fees. So there are a lot of different ways to kind of get around and make it work for you. All right. A great option is attending the first 2 schools at a community college. And there's a lot of, unfortunately, negative stigma about going to a 2-year school. But there's some really good programs at those schools. And you get to take all your prerequisite courses at a much discounted price. And when you transfer to a 4-year school and you are on track as a junior when you enter, when you get your degree from that college, it doesn't say Pamela Travis graduated Montclair by way of Union County. It just says Pamela Travis, bachelor's degree of Montclair University. So, you have to figure out what works for you, but these are options to lessen the cost if that's a concern for you. You might also want to consider online or distance schools. Those might be a little bit less expensive for you, as well as compare financial aid packages. Negotiate. You can literally get your award package from 2 or 3 of your schools and say, hey, Montclair, Keene gave me this much money for this. Okay, well, Fairleigh Dickinson, Keene and Montclair gave me this. Negotiate. You can do that. They're not going to rescind your offer, but you can do that. And then depending on how much they are or aren't willing to give you, you can make a determination of where you want to go and what's going to be the most cost effective for you. And consider employment. Consider if working during college, if that's feasible for you and you were able to handle that. I always say I love free money, and scholarships is free money, okay? Grants, free money. Loans, not free money. You have to pay that back. So your goal should be to get as much free money as possible to go towards your education. And that includes, like I said, scholarships and grants. And there are some great opportunities out there to receive some scholarships. FastWeb, you can sign up on there, make a profile, and they'll constantly send you scholarships. Also complete the FAFSA, okay? It opens on October 1st every year, and your parent can use prior year's tax return in order to complete the FAFSA. All right, make sure you do that because that lets the college know, as well as you, how much financial aid you would need in order to attend that school, along with how much they expect you to pay out of pocket for that school. So make sure you complete your FAFSA so you can get that financial aid information. I recommend completing it as soon as possible because you don't want to miss out. They run out of money, which you're not going to run out of money, but you get the idea, right? Early bird gets the worm. Yeah. All right. More financial aid information. As I said, that you have the FAFSA, and then you have the CSS profile. Okay, that is for schools that only require it. So that's more for the higher competitive schools. You do have to pay for it, but it's required by many of the private schools. Okay, it does have a deadline, and it also does open on October 1st. So make sure that you definitely complete the FAFSA. That's for every school. That's federal financial aid. But the CSS profile, you want to check the college's page to see if you actually need to complete that. Filling out your FAFSA. All right, the FAFSA is called the free application for federal student aid. I'm going to say free. Beware of scams. You should never have to pay anyone to complete and fill out your FAFSA because it is what? Free. If you have any questions, you can always contact FAFSA directly, all right? finaid.org, but it is free, okay? When you complete it online, and then you can select up to 10 schools to be added to your FAFSA. What that means is those are the 10 schools that will receive your financial aid information automatically because you're applying to them. So that when they accept you, they can follow with an award letter to let you know this is the amount of financial aid we're offering you, and this is what your bill would be, which you would need to pay, which doesn't include outside scholarships should you get them. And just a little bit about outside scholarships. I always recommend you apply. It's like a full-time job. However, there are national scholarships and there are local scholarships. Apply to both, but keep in mind, you have a smaller pool of students you're going against for local scholarships, whether that be within your town, your county, or even your state, okay? So make sure you're applying to all of your scholarships, but make sure you seek out those local ones, which do include your parents' employment, your religious affiliations, local businesses, local sororities and fraternities, and different organizations and clubs, as well as heritage-related organizations as well. Okay. Now, the FAFSA does determine, it does help the government, as I said before, determine how much money that they expect your family to pay. And that's called the Expected Family Contribution, the EFC. Doesn't necessarily mean that's how much you will pay, because I know I get a lot of students that get nervous when they see that number. It's just what they're saying they expect you to pay. However, again, you're gaining those scholarships, right? So you're cutting down that number. And the colleges use that information. You know, like I said before, you add 10, it's sent to colleges. They use that to help package you appropriately. Some wonderful resources. Again, you want to go to Federal Student Aid. All right, there's FAFSA Forecaster, Find Tuition, the Smart Student Guide, Sally Mae, FastWeb, and Naviance. I know I went through that really quickly, but the presentation and resources will be available to you so you can go back and view them and use them for future reference, okay? And of course, some more scholarship resources to look at. There's fastaid.com, there's College Savings, Consumer Finance, MD Deltec. But there's also Scholly, Scholly is an app, I believe it's 99¢, but it filters out scholarships and sends it to you constantly. So that's another great option when it comes to financial aid. And of course, that is it. I think we gave you guys a plethora of information for all grades for you to be prepared and to start from freshman year to sophomore year, junior, and senior year. Now, we know we have some questions, so we are here for your questions. Ms. Davis, I believe, is going to help us go through the questions and answer them for you. So we want to make sure that we give you guys the information that you guys need in order to. All right. She's our tech guru. Ooh, okay. All right.
No, just read what's on the screen.
Which one? If you go to let's try. Start with this one. Oh, wow. Oh, okay. So if you go to a specialized school instead of a four-year school, are you less likely to get a good job? You will get a job in the area that you are looking for. So a specialized school is exactly what it says, specialized. So if you're looking to say go to school for plumbing, then you will be looking for plumbing jobs or plumbing related jobs, maybe even working with contractors, working on homes. So it's not that you're less likely to get a job, it's just you're going to get a job in that specific area that your student is specializing in. I always tell students all the time, trades are actually very well. I wish I would have gotten a trade because I think I do very well. I would become an electrician.
Really?
Yeah, because you always need an electrician. That's how you gotta think sometimes, right?
Plumber,
Plumber,
yep. All of those things.
All those things. So hey, it works. I know a lot of wealthy electricians, plumbers, and painters. So it's all depending on your passion. Do what you are passionate about.
Yes.
Okay. So we have something else. Young men must remember to register for the draft to get financial aid.
Yeah.
Absolutely, as Ms. Weaver said.
Is it still on the FAFSA?
I believe it is.
Okay.
I believe that the question is on the FAFSA for you to actually do. It says, DJ was asked for an extracurricular resume for a scholarship. Hadn't had it before. Is that common? Typically, they'll ask you to list it on the application that I've experienced, but an individual resume, I have not experienced. However, some colleges, some programs and scholarships will ask that. That is why, as Ms. Travis said, you want to keep a record of all of your extracurricular activities so that you can have them available for if a college or even a scholarship asks for them.
Right. I think a resume is a great idea to begin to build as you're in high school so that you can, whether it's community service or all kinds of things, because that can come up in scholarships as well. And if they have it, it's done, and it's just something they can continue to submit. Yes,
Absolutely. Well, you guys don't have any other questions. Thank you.
Were there other questions or we're good? Okay.
All right, so we want to thank you. And those of you who are on social media, we hope that you can put some hand claps in the comment section for this incredible information that Mrs. Travis and Ms. Pernell have provided this afternoon. What you're looking at, or what you've witnessed today, is legacy, okay? A legacy of success. Yeah, they're laughing, but it is very true because they're humble, okay? As you heard Mrs. Travis state, Shar-Mekka, she's known her since she was a baby. She was her student. And now she is a colleague and a guru as well in the area of education. So we are just excited for them. We want to thank them. We want to thank you all for tuning in because the legacy continues here at Mount Olive Baptist Church. For more than 50 years, the Mount Olive Baptist Church Scholarship Ministry has been supporting young people through scholarships and educational programming. And even though you see our poster behind us, it says 150 years, we're really in the 151st year of existence here at the Mount Olive Baptist Church And our scholarship ministry, each year with our benefit, we've been doing the benefit now for about 8 years. And each year, we usually recognize members who have supported the legacy of giving, caring, and sharing here at the Mount Olive Baptist Church. And we have several members who we would normally do this at our biannual benefit, but with the pandemic, of course, we haven't been able to do that. But we still want to continue the work. We still want to continue the recognition. And Sister Keenan Weaver is going to come with certificates, but as she's coming, just going to share a little information about each of our recipients. Sister Lola Montfort Jordan has been a member of the Mount Olive Baptist Church for over 60 years. She's a kind, polite, giving, caring spirit. Her family has been very active in this church over the years. She raised her daughter here. She and her late husband, Clinton Jordan, were very active here and in the community. She started at 14. She shared with me singing in the choir here at the Mount Olive Baptist Church. And she's been singing in the choir now for over 60 years. So we're so happy to celebrate her today. Patricia Keaton Woodall, Patty as I call her, again, she also has been active in the Mount Olive Baptist Church for more than 50 years. And Patty has participated in the youth choir and Sunday school. She's a career food services employee. She started out in the hospitals and she still does a lot in the community, but she used that gift to develop her own business, Pat's Kitchen, where it's not just been a business, but a ministry, because she does it with a great deal of kindness and care. The third person we'd like to recognize today is Karen Nichols Trammell. What has Karen not done in the Mount Olive Baptist Church? If any of you, even if you're a grown-up baby, but even if you've ever attended Mount Olive Baptist Church Sunday School, chances are you came through Miss Karen's class with Miss Karen and Miss Kathy. She's a retired healthcare professional with the Plainfield Public School District. She was the lead nurse for the district. Here at Mount Olive, she's been a Sunday school teacher. She's been in the youth choir. She's done vacation Bible school, financial secretary, greeter, dance ministry, puppet ministry, and just worked with children, and has just been an incredible spirit here and a pillar, not only at the Mount Olive Baptist Church, but the Plainfield community. So today, we just want to say thank you. And we have Sister Weaver, who's going to read the certificates for our recipients this year. Sister Weaver.
Good afternoon. The certificates we are presenting to the recipients reads as follows. The Mount Olive Baptist Church Scholarship Ministry hereby recognizes, and the recipient's name, for giving, caring, and sharing as a devoted member of the Mount Olive Baptist Church and greater community, and celebrates her service to the body of Christ. Presented on this day, Saturday, October 30th, 2021, at the Mount Olive Baptist Church, Plainfield, New Jersey. And again, we recognize Lola Jordan, Patricia Woodall, and Karen Trammell.
The work continues here at Mount Olive. We just want to thank you this afternoon for attending. Let's give a big shout out to our sister Ashley Davis, who is behind the camera today. As many of you may know, she's also a councilwoman, and I share these things because there are many of you who may be looking at this presentation today thinking about what it is that you want to do. And as you grow older, what you can do is make a difference. And a lot of the people that you have heard today or you have heard us talk about today have made a difference, and they continue to make a difference. And the legacy goes on. And again, as I mentioned, we usually do this event as a biannual benefit, but with the pandemic, we haven't been able to do that. We hope that you continue to be safe. We are not wearing our mask now, but we have been wearing our masks, using hand sanitizer, and doing all of those things we can do to battle this COVID demon that has stifled so much. But we're grateful that these ladies were able to come out today because it's important for those of us who have the information to continue to share the information. And also to continue to share our efforts to make a difference in the lives of young people. So while we haven't been able to have the benefit, we'll still welcome any contribution that you want to offer to the Mount Olive Baptist Church Scholarship Ministry. If you'd like to make a donation to the Mount Olive Baptist Church Scholarship Ministry for scholarships and educational programming, you can do so. You can mail a check to the Mount Olive Baptist Church, 216 Liberty Street, Plainfield, New Jersey, Attention Scholarship Ministry. You can give via Cash App. You can give via Givelify. And I believe those different means of contribution may be streaming across the screen right now. So again, we thank you. We pray that God blesses you and keeps you. Let's again give it up for our presenters today. This is Pamela Travis and Ms. Shar-Mekka Pernell. Let's get some hand claps for them. And if there's anything else that the Mount Olive Baptist Church can do for you or your family to support your educational advancement, we're here. You can phone the church at 908-754-3539, 908-754-3539, and you can leave a message for the scholarship ministry. And again, on behalf of the scholarship ministry members, these wonderful presenters today, and our pastor, the Reverend Eric W. Wallace Sr., we thank you for tuning in. And remember, we're here to help you gear up for success. God bless you.